Oh, wow. So it was 15 years ago that we had a little family meeting. Cheryl was not included. So it was Shanna and Danielle and myself. Probably, I don't remember, probably if I know us, we're probably sitting at Hy-Vee or something eating breakfast. Because that's where we go to have special meetings and talk about stuff and eat eggs. So anyway, we had a meeting and thought, Mother's Day was coming up. What are we going to do to make this special for Cheryl, right? I mean, she's mom, and we wanted to do something cool. And to be honest, it was a pretty scary time for the Hudson family because we had just started this church. We just celebrated our 15-year, in October, right? So from October to now, and in the first 3 years, a huge majority of churches fail. I mean, huge, monster percentage of churches will fail within the first 3 years. And it's just the first 3 years are just kind of weird and scary and frightening, and you honestly don't know from week to week, well, do you think we'll have a church next week? You just don't know. And so we were going through all that stuff. We also still at that time had 2 houses we were paying for, and who doesn't love that, right? I mean, it was big enough to make the one mortgage. Then we're like, oh yeah, the other mortgage is due. So every month was like, a big sigh of relief. We always found a way to make them, but it was a stressful time. And Cheryl, if you know her, is not a person of high risk. All right, she is not the adventurer. Let's jump off a cliff and see how it turns out type person. She liked stability and safety and why did you marry me? Where are you? I heard. What did you see in me? I don't know. Opposites attract thing. Because I'm not wired that way. But anyway, so this was probably the most uncomfortable time in her life. This phase of life. And so it was like, okay, let's help mom. Let's give her some time to kind of relax and enjoy and just let's do something special for mom. So we had 14-year-old Danielle and 7-year-old Shanna and myself. We sat down and we talked about how we're going to make this extra special for mom. It's Mother's Day, and do we do the typical thing, whatever that is, and we brainstorm. Well, what restaurant do you think she likes? Oh, she likes this, she likes that. We kind of talked about that, and then it was like, they're so busy. It's Mother's Day. Everybody's taking their moms out to eat, right? And it's like, mom would probably rather relax at home and put her feet up and enjoy rather than go into this big crowded place where everybody's throwing mashed potatoes at you and kids are running around and it's crazy. And so we're like, well, I don't even know who said it. Somebody had the idea, what if we turn everything upside down, and instead of going out to eat, which we probably do too much anyway, what if we go home to eat on Mother's Day? And instead of make mom cook the meal, what if we cook the meal? Which is kind of scary for mom, but we brainstorm what's her favorite dishes, blah blah blah. But how should we do this? And then the creative juices started flowing, and which is pretty dangerous for my girls because I don't know, you throw us all 3 in a pot and you don't know what's going to come out of this thing. And like this 100 million, ideas started flowing from us. We'll just make our own restaurant. This will be really cool. I mean, it's a restaurant, right? So we got to name the restaurant. We put their 2 names together, Danielle and Shanna, and came up with Chanel's Bistro. And we're going to invite mom and grandmas and the whole family, bring everybody over. We're going to cook our own food, the stuff they like, just the way they like it. We'll have servers. We'll be the servers, so we're going to dote on them and love on them and stuff. And we bought some decorations, mostly cheesy. When you're young, you do cheesy things, right? And we just had a great day. Here's a picture. I don't know if this is really the first one. It was one of the early ones anyway. So we'd get colors and just do some simple decorations and it was just a fun day. And I don't know if that day, I don't know if we were done 10 minutes, and the kids were like, we're going to do this again next year. This is really fun. And so we kind of started conspiring. And what happened is every year we'd had to come up, we can't do what we did last year, right? We had to do something different this year. So we'd have different themes and different ideas. And then it started coming up with like actual themes and costumes. And like one year we did a Western theme. And it wasn't, elaborate, a cowboy hat, and we'd always have some little goofy thing where we'd take our family pictures for Mother's Day. So we did it at home too. We'd do them here, then we'd have our family pictures at home with a blow-up cactus. We had a Hollywood theme one year. I know some of you know that you've seen some of these pictures before, but I didn't warn the girls that I'd be showing their pictures from years ago, but there are the moms accepting their great awards and giving speeches, and we did pictures for that. Then the girls started getting older. We started getting a little classier. We did an African theme one year, and this is actually one of my favorite years. We kind of graduated from the plastic stuff and got some funner stuff. A few years ago, we did Downton Abbey because the moms loved Downton Abbey, and so the girls made costumes. And it was pretty cool. That's still, I think, one of Mom's favorites, the Mom's favorites thing. Last year, we were really swinging with the 80s, doing some disco. Thad was really excited. He joined the family. He was going, yeah, I think I'm going on Mother's Day. So, no, you're not. And this year, it didn't take us long to decide. Actually, we had a theme, and then we kicked the theme out because the moms totally love the movie Greatest Showman. So this year, you will see pictures in a few hours on social media of our Greatest Showman. We take on the characters, and we have a lot of fun. So that's the menu that we can make a new menu every year. That's the outside cover of the menu. We're serving zebra meat, and I can't remember what or zebra if you live in Zimbabwe, not zebra. Anyway, we do this, and it's a ton of fun and everything. It'd be a lot easier, to be honest, to just go out to eat. It'd be a lot cheaper to just go out to eat and just say, hey, anything you want, anywhere you want. But this thing, it became bigger than I ever thought it would be. Not just this, but I mean, it became cool because when you spend so much time, we've spent months brainstorming this, right? I mean, we started months ago with what the theme would be and what the menu would be and what the decorations might look like. And what happens is if you spend that much time thinking and conspiring about how to do something nice for someone, I mean, that's all it is, right? You can't help but honor them, and not only on the couple hours that we'll be together this afternoon, but you're thinking honorable thoughts, and you're throughout the year it becomes like I want to honor my mom because all of this is all about making them special, and feel good. So it became bigger than a little event, but it's spread out over the year, and it's been a really healthy and cool thing. In any relationship, as you honor people, as you treat them in a special way, they have a tendency to honor you back because it's what's natural. Hey, you're really nice to me, I think I'll be really nice to you. I mean, it's not always true, but it tends to be the case. And what you end up doing, if you do that enough, you form this very healthy, godly relationship with someone. I mean, that's the natural thing you do just with dating. You're doing nice things back. Pretty soon you're like, hey, I like you. And pretty soon you're like, hey, but it's with every relationship. The nicer you are to people, the nicer they are to you, and you reciprocate, and you create these great relationships. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. Not saying you all have to go home and do this today, but to talk about healthy relationships. How do you foster a great relationship? Between mom and kids, but between anybody, husbands and wives, you and your neighbor, anybody, healthy relationships with anybody. And obviously there's not like a cookie cutter, situation that always works. I'm not going to give you the top 3 things to do and you're always going to have great relationships. There's a lot of variables. There's always different personalities involved and other issues and stuff. But I do want to share a couple principles about having the greatest relationships, since we're doing the Greatest Showman today, and in a couple hours. And I want to start with a scripture that you probably don't think about very often when you think about relationships. So here's what happens, is we get lazy the longer we're with someone in relationships, right? I mean, we've all done that. You just kind of get lazy. And if you get lazy, rather than building into the person, you start taking away from the person. And what happens to me all the time is I spend a lot of my life talking to people who've got to the point where I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm tired of you in my life because the relationship is strained. Somewhere along the line, one or both, whatever, people got lazy in the relationship. And that is so painful to be part of those conversations. And this can reverse that, right? This can, no matter where your relationship is with someone, children, spouses, friends, neighbors, whatever, this can reverse that. It's following the scripture we're going to read today, which has nothing to do with relationships, but totally applies. It's in Proverbs 6. Go to the ant, O sluggard. Have you become a sluggard in your relationships? Have you become lazy in treating people the way you really should really should treat them? Then go to the ant and follow her ways. Follow her example. Go to the ant, O sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer, gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and a want like an armed man. Now, if you're a farmer and you're reading this, which would have been the case for many people who read this the first time, and you gain your sustenance from the land, it's a very simple concept. If you can't find time to plant seed in the spring, or whenever the sowing time is, if you can't seem to find the time to do the work, to planting the crops, you won't be able to harvest the crops later because you get exactly what you put in. I mean, exactly. If you don't put the work in, you're not going to have food in the fall. And if you don't have food in the fall, you're not going to be able to eat. And that hurts everybody. That hurts you, it hurts your family, it hurts everybody. Nobody has to tell the ant, hey, get up, you sluggard, go out and get some food today. They're just always, in fact, they're really annoying. They even get into our houses, I'm like, get out of here. But they're working, trying to find food. And they just do it. The farmer doesn't have someone poking them all the time. Get out of bed and plant the harvest. Well, at least they won't last very long if they do that. They just do it. They just know they have to. And because if he doesn't, he's not going to eat. That principle is true in every area of life, pretty much, including our relationships. So here's the first principle. And it's really simple. And it's usually the tough stuff is so easy it's painful. You're just like, well, duh, no, but it's really true. Great relationships take great work. It just takes work. You want to have a great relationship. Who doesn't want to have a great relationship with your children, with your spouse, with your coworkers, whatever? It's going to take a great amount of work. It just is. It doesn't come automatically. It doesn't just happen automatically. They don't come easy. It comes after years of planting little seeds, tons of little moments into that person's life, tons and tons, moment after moment. Conversation after conversation, reading books together, enjoying ice cream cones together, dusting the furniture together. Anything, all the little things you do, having honest conversations without distractions, those things lead to healthy relationships. When Danielle was like 3 or 4 years old, we would play. I'd say, let's make a train. And she's like, oh, this is great. Now honestly, as the dad, I was thinking, we're going to mop the kitchen floor, okay? But what she heard was, we're going to have train time. This is going to be fun. So we'd take all the tables or all the chairs out of the kitchen and put them in the living room on the carpet, because there was a linoleum floor in the kitchen and dining room, and we'd clear everything out. And before we can get on the train, we got to prepare the train. So we'd sweep everything and mop everything and wax everything. And during that time, I was like, Mom's going to really be happy. She's going to be really excited about this when she comes home. And she's like, oh, great, ha ha. She had no clue I was indoctrinating her. And then we do all the work, and it's like, well, now that the floor is wet, we can't go in there, so let's jump on the train. And so we had, like I said, the thing, or the bus, whatever it was, depending on the time. And we'd sit there, and we'd go on this great adventure in the living room. And then Mom would come home, and she'd be like, oh, the floor looks so green, I can see my face. And it was a great thing, and it was a great moment for our little girl to look up and think, oh, we did something for Mom. So I was teaching her, this is how you honor your mom. This is how you build a relationship. We did that a lot. It's kind of depressing. When we moved here, we didn't have a floor that needed waxing. It was like, of course, she was also a teenager, so I don't care about the floor. But but those are little seeds you sow into the relationships. Tons of little moments like that. It's the simple things you do as a parent that start building the relationship with your child. We're talking as early as changing the diaper. At some point, baby's like, something's not good. I don't know what it's. I'm gonna. And who comes up? Mom or dad comes up and like, well, we'll help you. And that baby realizes, wow, I don't know what that was, but I feel so much better. And I know that face. I know who did this. It starts that early, starting to build the little relationships, and then you're sitting down reading a little story together, or playing a little game, or cooking, or whatever. And it's all these little things that you're just living. But if you start being intentional about we're not just making supper, but let's do this together. Let's have a conversation together. We're not just washing dishes. Let's make this a family project. It starts building into relationships. Those little moments grow together into a healthy relationship, a deep, meaningful relationship later on in life. The more moments you sow, the better the harvest. The better the harvest. It's true with your children, with your spouse, with your neighbor. I'm pretty sure I heard this in a video series that I often show to young couples that are getting married. Some of you have probably seen this video where the preacher tells the story of two young girls who take, I think it's a gerbil, home from school. And of course it's made up because, they both take the gerbil home on the same day. And one of the girls, they don't really care. They don't take care of the gerbil. They don't feed it. They just ignore it. They don't clean the cage out. So mom jumps in and she starts feeding the gerbil because they don't want the gerbil to die in a cage, right? And they cleaning the cage out and taking care of it. And she doesn't care. The other one is being very responsible. She's feeding the little gerbil every day. She's cleaning out the cage because, it gets to needing cleaned out. She gets it out and puts it in the little gerbil ball and lets it crawl around the floor and does all this stuff. Well, magically, both of these gerbils die on the same day. And the lesson of the story was the daughter, I keep saying daughter, the girl who didn't take care of the gerbil didn't care. She's like, whatever, the gerbil's dead. I didn't really care. But the daughter who really didn't want a gerbil, the girl who really didn't want a gerbil but somehow got one, was brokenhearted and was weeping when her little gerbil died because she had poured so much time and nurturing and development into this little gerbil. She grew a relationship with a rodent, because she put time in it. It's so much more so with people. Great marriage relationships are harvested by continually sowing into each other's lives. If you ever get lazy, if nothing else, maybe today is just a go to the ant, oh sluggard. Wake up, unfold your arms, start investing into your relationships. That is what develops a healthy relationship. It's the continual investment. Your marriage a good relationship doesn't come because your parents had a great relationship, or because maybe you read a few verses in the Bible and you think, okay, I got that now and I'll just go on my way, or because you saw a video series once. It takes years of real life, you putting into each other, going on those walks together, having those conversations together, cups of coffee, whatever it is you guys like to do, bending over backwards to honor each other over and over and over again, not just that one time. I did that one, remember that one time I lit a candle, we had a meal? You keep doing things. It's true in literally every relationship that you have. Even for pastors and churches. One of the most valuable things I learned in college is that if you go to a new church, a new pastor goes to a new church, it takes 7 years before you are accepted really by that church as anyone of significance. And you think, 7 years, that's a long time. Well, it's a lot of weddings and funerals and showing up at hospitals and prayers and conversations and Bible studies and trust and showing you're a person of integrity and character. And after years of doing that, at some point, who knows, it's some magic number of 7, like this corner turns where suddenly people are like, hey, I trust you. You're a big person in my life. And it's a mutual thing. That's what's so sad that I think the average length at church is like 2.5 years for a staff person. And all these churches are regurgitating, and preachers are regurgitating relationships, and they're not even having deep, meaningful stuff because they're not sticking it out. They're not putting the time in. And so that's one of the promises I made Cheryl, because she likes safety, is that we're not going to do that. And we just never have. We've been three places in 30 some years, and because we don't want to move around, right? And that's true in every relationship. I've even read that magic 7 number seems to be a pretty big deal for relationships and marriage too. That if you can get through that first 7, this corner turns, assuming you're continuing to invest in each other, continuing to sow healthy seeds into one another, and it takes you to the next level in your relationship in a marriage too. 7 years of testing and trusting and forgiving and showing grace and showing love and treating your spouse better than you treat yourself. You harvest this incredible relationship. But it takes all that sowing for you to have a better harvest and to reap. And the challenge is, we're all like this, I don't want to wait that long. I mean, I could go 2 years and think, man, I thought this was going to be better than that. But then 3 years, I'm like, Cheryl, I mean, really? I'm sure she thought that. Man, I thought this guy was going to be like Prince Charming. He's neither a prince nor charming. I mean, it's just kind of how it is. We want it now. We cut a tree or two down last fall, cut a bunch of shrubs out, and so I have a bunch of bare spots in my yard. And I want it to be lush. I want those bare spots to be lush green grass. I'm really excited about that happening, so I just kind of threw a couple handfuls of grass seed at it, and I left it, right? I haven't watered it. I haven't done anything to it. It's rained a couple times. I keep looking out the window thinking, what is taking so long? I want lush grass, It's because I'm not sowing it correctly. I probably didn't even plant it correctly. I mean, aren't you supposed to, I don't know, I don't know. I would care. I just threw some seeds out and see what happens. I mean, I do care, but obviously I don't care. And so one of these days we'll see. I'll check it today to see if it's growing. I've seen a little bit growing here and there, but I should probably water it. There's stuff you got to do. Same thing with a relationship. You can't have that lush green, dynamic, exciting, wonderful relationship unless you're feeding it, unless you're doing something to it and doing something intentional to it. So great relationships take great work. Here's the second part, the second idea. Being patient. It takes a while to be a great mom or dad or husband or wife or co-worker or whatever. Fill in the blank there. Very similar to what we read in Proverbs. Paul says in 2 Corinthians, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. Whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Now, the apostle's talking about finances there, right? He's talking about being generous with people. But I think that applies to relationships too. So we're twisting it a little bit, but it really does apply here. When we had babies, they were fun, and they were cute, and they were entertaining. You threw a blanket down, just throw them on there and watch them crawl around and eat dirt, and it's really kind of fun. You can do that for hours. But there's times when being a mom isn't really that exciting, right? I mean, if you're a mom, or dad, but there's times when parenting is. I mean, when the diaper explodes, nobody says, "Man, this is everything I dreamt it would be," And especially if you're married and both of you are pretending like you didn't notice, you're hoping the other one does. I've read about that. I'm sure could happen. I don't know. or when they wake up in the middle of the night and you're pretending like you're asleep, thinking, "Come on, wake up, Cheryl." Whoever that. It could happen. It could. I've read books about that. And that's what babies do. All they know is they wake up and they're uncomfortable. I don't know why. I just don't feel good. They're hungry. They just start, they start screaming, and it's, that's not like the romantic fun thing you thought about when you were going to be a mom. When they're teething and like they're all got a fever and they're throwing up and you're trying to figure out what's going on and finally, like, you ask your mom, they're probably teething. You're like, oh, and you kind of figure stuff out as you go. But all they do is scream and you don't know what to do. There's no off button. There's no easy button. You're just like, I know what to do. But there are moments that aren't all that exciting in parenthood, and it's easy during those moments to think, man, this is gross. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be part of it. I can't wait till the kids just get older. Have you ever thought that about your kids? I just can't wait till we get to the next stage. But those are the investments that help you in the next stage by you engaging in their life when the diaper explodes, when the teething's going on, when they're having their issues. Because when that child falls and they skin their knee later on, where do they run? To that one who cared for them when they were learning how to walk and they'd fall down and hit their bum or hit their forehead on the corner of the coffee table, whatever. They go to the one who was there for them. When that child has their heart broken in their later years and they're devastated, where do they go? To the one who walked them through when their imaginary friend left. And you could think, oh, it's just an imaginary friend, get over it. Or you can engage them in the pain that they're in at that moment, and you're investing into being able to talk to them in the future when something more significant happens. When that child has questions about life, where do they go? To the one who answered the questions when they asked all the silly questions. Remember, they're 2 years old and they're asking why, what, why. You're thinking, can you stop? There's never an end. Just why this, why that, why? Then they get back and they know why. I mean, no matter what your answer, you just keep going, and you get, crazy. But you work through that and you invest in them when they have real needs later on, they know who they can go to, and you help them out. See, the fact is, the fact that you got married doesn't mean you're going to have a great marriage. The fact that you had children doesn't mean you're going to have a great family. The fact that you go to a small group, a church, doesn't mean you're going to connect with people in a great way. Or the fact that you live in a house doesn't mean you're going to have wonderful neighbors. You got to sow into people's lives. You got to sow into their lives. You got to invest your time, your care, legitimate care, genuine care into people's lives. In the book of Acts, there's a woman named Tabitha, and she died, and all these friends came together, and they were just weeping, and they were mourning, and just heartbroken, because Tabitha was this woman who had made clothing for so many of them, and had given her life and her time and her efforts into all of these people. And they weren't mourning the loss of like a good clothing source. They were mourning the loss of a friend who had made them clothes, a friend who had invested in their lives. And when Peter saw how devastated these people were, he healed her and brought her back from the dead. Man, that'd be cool. I was talking to someone this morning in the first service who just had a friend, dear friend, who sounds like was just like Tabitha, except it was a guy, and he invested so much into people's lives, and he just died this week, and she's so heartbroken over that. And I thought, man, I wish I could just be Peter, and go and bring him back, because he invested so much into people. If you want to have great relationships, you've got to actively invest in their lives. You have then get to wait patiently. It's not like, well, I did those 3 things, because we have a tendency to make lists. Okay, if I just do 2 things a week, or I just do it for 6 weeks in a row, it's all going to change. No, don't worry about the outcome. You just sow, and then you just let the relationship grow. Be patient and sit back. I wish everybody in this room could have a relationship like Cheryl and I have. We have a great relationship. It took us 32 years to get here. So maybe in 32 years you'll have that. You won't have it before that. Now, we had a good relationship at 20 years and 10 years, but we have a better one now than we did then. It took us 32 years to get here. Of not just existing in the same house, but investing in each other and sowing in each other's life. I'd love every mom to have a relationship like my girls and their mom have. They have a great relationship. They're friends. They hang out together. I'm sure they annoy each other once in a while too, because they're human. I just like Cheryl and I annoy each other. But they have a great relationship because they have intentionally worked at honoring each other and serving each other and pouring themselves into each other. 28, 21 years of investment into each other's lives, that makes a great relationship. It takes 20 years to have the depth of a 20-year marriage. You're not going to have it tomorrow unless, you've been married 20 years and have been investing in each other for 20 years. But 20 years of ups and downs, of failures and successes and temptations and battles and mistakes and grace and love and forgiveness and all that mixes together. And you get down the road, you look back and think, man, how did we survive that? I don't know, but man, I love you. It's an investment, continual investment in one another. Here's the thing, you can't do anything about yesterday. Okay. It doesn't matter. Most of you probably aren't celebrating 15 years of crazy Mother's Days at your house today. Don't even duplicate that. Unless you want to, but that's not what this is about. It doesn't matter about yesterday. What matters is where you start today, what you do today. How you start pouring into your spouse today, how you start pouring into your children today, how you pour into that, feed that relationship. Starting now. When I think of moms, we're just going to end with this. I always mentally go to Proverbs 31. And honestly, this is a picture of someone who's not just doing a bunch of stuff, but you look at some of these words, she's investing in the people, is what really this is saying. Proverbs 31:25, she's clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. It's the harvest. Why? She speaks with wisdom. Faithful instruction is on her tongue, what she's been pouring into the lives of her children and her people around her. She watches over the affairs of her house, does not eat the bread of idleness. She's not just laying around hoping it just happens. She's actively engaged, actively working toward helping her family be a healthy family. Her children will rise and call her blessed. That's the harvest. Her husband also, he praises her. That's the harvest. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. She's been actively working on her relationship with God and obviously sharing that with her family. Give her the reward she's earned. Let her works bring her the praise at the city gate. My encouragement for you, not just today, but every day, is to give her the reward she's earned. Or even better, beyond what she's earned. Celebrate the relationships you have. Engage in them. Feed them. And the harvest will come, trust me. It just will. Let's pray together.